Hello everyone and welcome back to Backlog Banter. My name is Tucker Hazel. Today I'm joined by my free gunner, Aiden Bueter. And today we're here to talk about Concord's beta. The early access beta, the open beta is still coming soon, but we've actually played quite a bit of this game. And we're here to give you our thoughts on the base gameplay of it, how it feels, how it looks, how it runs, but also drill in for the Firewalk dev team, if you're watching this, a couple of our criticisms and things can be tweaked, because there definitely are some things that we're feeling in this early access, even though we are both enjoying the game on the whole, that can be tweaked and can be fixed, especially for that full release, which is coming a month from now. But if you want to talk about this, talk to us about this game, you can join our Discord, you can subscribe to this channel, where I'm certainly going to be talking a little bit about the game when it comes out, maybe doing a little bit of first impressions and reviews.
Some community streaming, maybe. We could play with the folks.
We can figure that out. But Abram, Concord is here, the early access beta. We have played a bunch of it, and you weren't the one as in the weeds with it as I was. So, first blush, getting into it, how do you feel?
I think the game's a lot of fun. I think my biggest worry with Concord is that we are 6 weeks away from launch.
It's hard for a lot to change in that time.
Yeah, not a lot to change. So there's some more systemic issues I want to talk about, which I haven't talked about a lot. The matchmaking is a big one for me, but some other things that I think are a little bit less fixable that I want to talk about as well. But putting those aside for a minute, I love shooters. I play a lot of FPS and a lot of third-person shooters. I usually always TPS. No, that's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
That's THPS. Come on.
That's true.
Come on.
Usually I've got one going at a time, right? So really the question for me playing Concord was, can Concord replace Halo Infinite for me, which is the one that I continue to go back to right now. And I think that the answer is it has a good shot. Because Concord is to the point, which I like about it.
Definitely.
We're
going to talk about your simplicity.
100%. We're not getting bogged down in any sort of like meta structure. Now there's the narrative. We'll talk about that separately. But I don't have to worry about an event pass. I don't have to worry about a battle pass. I just have to worry about jumping in, playing, having fun, leveling up my characters. And to that end, I think that the core gameplay is very strong. I'm a little bit less confident about the modes. But again, we don't have all of them.
No, we don't.
But
we definitely don't have the maps.
No, on the whole, like if I had to lean positive, negative, I definitely lean quite positive.
And it's something that you've found yourself enjoying and finding characters. And what's interesting about this early access beta is that it is not the entire picture of what this game is. There are I think fewer unlockables here. There are obviously not all the game modes, not all the maps. We do have access to all the characters, so we can speak pretty definitively to the roster. And the narrative isn't there. The galactic map isn't there. There are different parts of the menu that say not available yet. And so we can't fully speak on this, and that for me gives me a lot of hope, because what is here feels like a beta because we're seeing the same maps over and over again. We're having to play the same game modes over and over again, but I'm enjoying what's there enough. I mean, I've played over 10 hours of it already.
And I've played probably 4 or 5.
To where I'm like, oh, there's going to be more. Great. And so let's talk about the core gunplay and the characters and the variety and things like that, because that I think is where the game is easily at its strongest. I think that the roster of characters and how different they play, and how playing with a group of friends, we're really seeing people gravitate towards different play styles and different characters, playing into certain niches and certain ways you want to be bouncing around or have a lot of health and things like that. So the roster and the core gunplay, I found very, very few complaints with myself.
I mean, I think it sort of illustrates the strengths and sort of intrinsic weaknesses of the Concord for me, because ultimately it's great because it's what already works. A lot of Firewalk dev team and experience comes from games like Destiny, and I can feel that very clearly. I can feel it in the double jump. I can feel it in the feedback. I can feel it in the hit markers. I mean, there's a lot to me that rings true of what I already enjoy in the past. And even the characters on the roster, for the large part, you can look at them and put them in the buckets of this is...
Some of them I don't think you can as easily, which is kind of fun.
No, but
there's a nice balance between the ones that fit into this is the real archetype, and then what the heck's this character doing? I have to really figure that out.
I would say so, but I think that ultimately if you take the different classes from Team Fortress and you take all the different heroes in Overwatch and you sort of take pieces of various kits or just
Definitely.
general kit
Yeah.
archetypes, you're going to find most of who's in
totally.
Concord. And I don't think that is necessarily an issue.
No.
Because there's really no point in reinventing what's already works. And at a certain point, there's only so many ways that you can have your DPS characters, your tank characters, your healers, and your support.
Yeah.
And so to that end, I understand why it is this way. And I like being able to jump in and say, okay, this feels good. It feels like things I enjoy. There's just enough of these other games in terms of the character kits that I can find ones and I can identify what I like and how I want to play.
Yeah.
I do want a little bit more of a sense of what makes Concord stand out.
Sure.
And I think that could very easily come in things we simply just don't have access to in the beta.
Yeah.
So on a base level, I think the gunplay is very good. I think the characters do what they need to do.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about because I agree with you that in this beta there are elements that feel like we're scratching the surface, where I do feel like Concord's identity as a game that will stand apart from the crowd, I think are there, but we do not have access to them yet. Yeah. Things like the variant system, which is not explained at all in this beta and is only given access to you in one small area. The crew builder that is not explained at all. The and of course the evolving narrative and the galactic map and these things that are going to be a part of the full release. Those I think are the most interesting parts of this. But this beta did, I think, what the right thing was is to sell people on the core gameplay of the game, which to that point online and watching streamers and what people are like, wait, hold on, this is actually really fun, and people are getting really into characters like Itzy, who can like jump around the map and do crazy kills, and learning how to use the kits of certain characters to really rack up some fun combos and stuff. So I definitely think that the more is coming, but it's we can't confirm that yet because we don't have access to it yet. But what I will say is, I think for me, my biggest complaint with the roster is something that can be changed down the road, but it's certainly a small problem for now, is there aren't enough characters with healing abilities. There are 2 100%. Characters with support abilities. Yeah. Some can kind of do it. Amari has a shield sort of thing. Lark has a thing that can make you jump higher or something. I mean, a lot of characters have bombs or abilities, things that will disable the team and kind of act in support ways, but you only really have Daw and Jabali as healer characters. And as someone who gravitates towards support characters in a game like Overwatch, it feels a little bit limiting to me to not have a play style that caters to playing support.
Well, I think the other thing about it is, like, if you look at the launch Overwatch roster, I think the only 2 healers you had were Lucio and Mercy. But I think the difference
is... Zenyatta was there as well.
And Zenyatta. Yeah. The difference is if you set Zenyatta to the side.
Yeah. Zenyatta's weird as shit.
Weird, and I think closer to some of the characters here.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Yeah.
But with Lucio and with Mercy, you really could just focus on healing.
Yes.
And you could provide a significant amount of healing to your team. I don't think that's the case here.
No.
And it's a larger point that I'm not sure I've settled on yet in my feeling of Concord. This game is a hero shooter, literally. But it has a lot more of a more traditional FPS multiplayer framework and emphasis than I thought it would. Yeah. The key example for me is the 2 main modes in the game are essentially Team Deathmatch and Kill Confirmed. Yeah. And so when you think about the fact that the dev team decided to put these modes forward first.
Yes. Those are the first ones you have unlocked. The only ones you have unlocked at first.
It makes sense that a lot of these characters are DPS oriented.
Totally, yeah.
I think the question will become, when we get to more objective game modes.
Yes,
if it's not,
because there are things like payloads and like capture the flag, capture the point, things that aren't available yet.
Yeah, if it doesn't feel right having a less support minded characters, then I think it's gonna become a bigger issue. Sure, but right now, I mean, it's not.
Yeah, you're right. Honestly, the honest truth is, I liked playing Mercy so much. Well, I'm like, where's my Mercy?
No, I think it's a good point. I think it's an important point because I feel like what a challenge Concord is going to have is to straddle the line between hero shooter and more traditional
Definitely,
FPS.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how well it's doing that, but we only have a sliver of the game right now.
Totally. Yeah. And for me, I think that where we might question, like, how is it balancing these things? I am just sold on playing these characters, and I've enjoyed every game mode that I've played so far. And so I'm looking at this in sort of a larger scope, being like, will these be questions that I will be having? I'm currently having a few questions. I actually wrote down a few things that I want to go through in terms of things that I think can be tweaked and changed to, I think, pretty significantly improve the
Yeah.
quality of life of this game, which is what this beta is for, is hearing
For
those
sure.
things from the community.
One other thing I will add
Yes.
on that point, though, is I don't necessarily even like think that the most fun multiplayer games are balanced.
Sure.
Like a lot of the fun I have in Halo Infinite.
This game's pretty damn balanced. I don't think there are any like super OP characters.
Not yet, but I don't think we have time to.
No, true. But like, just first blush, I'm like, there's not the like how broken Bastion was at launch of Overwatch kind of thing. So clearly a lot of work went into making sure that every character was valid and useful in some way, because we're seeing every character get played, which is really nice.
So when I'm playing Halo and I'm playing like Fiesta Slayer, sometimes I want to just play and have fun.
Yeah.
This is another thing I'm curious about. How much room is there to just have fun in this game?
Sure.
And what I mean by that is we have Team Deathmatch and we have Kill Confirmed, which you can just kind of screw around in. The only other mode is closer to Valorant or Counter-Strike, no respawn, and essentially bomb defusal, but you can also team wipe to win the round. That's not a casual game mode.
It's not. No.
And so obviously, there is no oddball equivalent in this game. I'm curious if there's going to be a position where the game is almost too balanced for it to not get fatiguing to play like TDM over and over again. Sure. Like if you're playing Team Deathmatch in COD, or even in a game with a higher time to kill, like Halo, at a certain point, okay, I've played enough Slayer, right? Where do I jump to next? And in there, I jump to point defense. I jump to oddball. I can jump to infection. I can play Fiesta. There's a lot of variety there. But if we're so like PvP minded without an objective a lot of the time in this game, and the time to kill is so high, even we just played for like an hour and a half with our friends, I don't know if I could play 3 hours of this PvP with this time to kill so high and no like casual objective mode to play.
Yeah, and that'll be definitely interesting to see as this game evolves. The interesting thing is we are talking about a game that is the first in its series. It is the first from its studio, and of course that doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't have had also some more casual party game modes. I don't think from the list of objectives or game mode types that we saw have been confirmed, doesn't seem like any of those are the more casual things. But I think it's the kind of game, it's the kind of gameplay that does allow itself to be experimented with and add things like that down the line. So, but you're right that it does feel like a more serious game than maybe I was expecting. Yeah. But I was able to sort of fit my mind into the flow of, even when I'm losing, I'm just kind of like going through the motions, but in a positive way of like, I'm just enjoying talking to my friends and bouncing around, and then we're in the middle of the conversation and I cut off. I'm like, I'm getting ganged up on, or I just got 3 kills. That's really cool. Like that is a flow that I really felt myself falling into. Again, over the last 3 days, I've played well over 10 hours of this game. So there is, I was playing 3-hour sessions daily for the last 3 days. Who knows how long that would last? Yeah. I'm not a giant multiplayer guy, so that's not a huge concern to me personally, but obviously I've already gotten to that point where I'm sitting down and playing for 3 hours. I'm like, whoa, that was crazy.
How much did you play by yourself? Did you solo queue any of that?
Oh no, I did. Yeah. Some of it. Not a ton of it. Because we had a pretty good, we had a group of friends who were interested.
Would you say that you found the experience to be better, worse, or the same solo
queuing? Oh no, it's definitely better with friends.
And this is again why I hark on or harp. Sorry, thinking of Lark.
Yes,
I'm so Concord.
One of your favorite characters who you've never played. I
like to kill the Mushroom Man. I don't like to be the Mushroom Man. But the other problem I think with having these sorts of usually free-for-all or more loose team-based modes be the driver of Concord is that usually you're playing and less organization is necessary in TDM. Sure. Or you can run around and you can kind of be a lone gunner for a little bit and be fine. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily know if that's true of Concord because the time to kill is so high. Yeah. And if it's 2-on-1, you're probably
screwed.
You're probably screwed. Yeah. And so I think the problem as a solo queue player, and I think there'll be times when I want to solo queue, and I solo queued Halo more times than I grew up with people because I'm trying to play these games to relax to a certain point. Mm-hmm. Of course,
not be social.
Not with friends. The matchmaking in Halo Infinite makes me fucking rage all the time. That's a different point. However, I just don't know if I'm solo queuing Veil, right?
Sure. Yeah.
How much fun I'm gonna have at a certain point. Yeah. So I think it's just all questions to be answered. The last thing to close off the point about the modes before we get into your questions is this article from Game Rant. Yeah. Takedown and Trophy Hunt, which are Team Deathmatch and Kill Confirmed, we got to play it.
Which are both under Brawl, which is the first thing.
And we also got to play Clash Point and Cargo Run.
Yes.
Which are the two different Valorant type no respawn
Yeah,
modes.
yeah.
So there's only 2 modes left that are coming day one that we haven't gotten to play. One is Signal Chase, which is also in the Valorant style archetype. Teams will have to locate and control various zones on the map within a limited time to earn points. That's a fun mode.
Yeah.
I do like. I'm just speaking. Obviously we haven't played this, but
yes.
It's not a new mode.
That's a fun mode.
Yes.
In games.
And then the other one is just area control, which I'm assuming is going into the other playlist. And area control is just it's just King of the Hill.
Turn that back on. I thought there was a payload. I thought there was a payload style one. Am I wrong with that?
No, I don't think there's
cargo. Oh no, sorry. Cargo run. You're right. In my mind, we're like running cargo. That's like a payload, but there's not
a payload.
Okay. Overwatch poisons my mind. Payload is like the first thing I think of when I think of Overwatch. But yes,
and so I'll really have fun playing the area defense.
Sure,
mode. That's well, capture the flag is my favorite multiplayer archetype.
Yeah,
there's no capture the flag.
Yeah,
I worry that 6 modes is not actually 6 modes in practice.
Yeah,
like I was saying to you earlier, TDM and kill confirm are the same family.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of these no respawn modes are going to boil down to a similar style of gameplay too. So I just hope that if this really is the only 6 modes we're going to launch with, that we're going to be getting more modes quite soon.
Totally,
because I think that's going to run thin.
Yeah. So a couple of things that these are the points that I think stick out the most in this game because we are being mostly critical here for providing feedback purposes. Yeah. The majority of my playtime is just having a lot of fun with my friends and enjoying the characters and getting used to movesets and things. But a few things that are I think really stick out, especially in this beta. And some of this might be changed in the full release. Some of this might be changed before the game comes out once they hear feedback. Number one is not having a practice mode is really, really weird.
Yes.
Especially for a game where a lot of the characters' kits aren't explained particularly well in gameplay.
Yeah.
And are only explained in the descriptions of the characters' movesets, which you do not have enough time to read because you spawn in very quickly. And so there needs to be some kind of training mode where you can just throw your bombs and test how far your gun can shoot and do things like that. Though there is at the moment, there's no PvE. So I don't really know how they would do that, but like they can do something. And a practice mode would definitely help alleviate some of the confusion that I think we definitely felt just being dropped into this totally blind and not knowing the maps and not knowing what the characters do and be like,
Yeah, I mean, Overwatch, before it had PvE, it still had a training mode.
No,
and
there's a
just
tutorial
of
the game,
I think that this is really necessary also because Concord gets a little cute with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Haunt is an archetype of characters.
Yes.
And I get that that's cool from like a world building perspective, but as a player, I'm trying to hop in. As you're saying, that bar is like taking down like the WarioWare Wario bomb.
Yes.
I've got so little time to pick my free gunner.
Picking your free gunner is like a micro game.
Yeah, and it's just not fun to be like, oh man, I really love the aesthetic of this character. I really think their kit is intriguing. I want to learn about it a little bit. But if you can't do that, you jump into a game, you're getting killed over and over again because you don't understand your own tools. I just don't think that's a good feedback loop. I don't think that's good for player attention. Yeah. So I do hope there's a training mode.
And that does seem like something that could easily be in a full release.
I certainly hope so.
I think that especially with a team of this experience, it would be weird if that was not in the game. But we can't confirm that yet, so we have to say, please.
Well, to be honest, I think it's weird that it wasn't in the beta.
Sure.
And I wonder, this is my overarching point. I said at the top, how much time do we really have to fix stuff?
Sure.
Between now and the 23rd of August, I think.
Yes, August 23rd. Launch day of Concord. Lock it in, everyone.
It's in my head.
One very small thing that I think definitely needs to be tweaked is for some reason Duchess can put down way too many walls, and so especially when you are playing on a defend the point map, and Duchess can put up just walls that like snap to the environment. I think it's actually a pretty cool move, and it definitely can affect the flow of choke points and stuff. I really like that ability, but the cooldown is very low, and you can put down like 5 at once. It's way too much, especially when there are 2 on both sides of the team, and then the walls can be close together, but they can't so then you can go through yours, you can't go through your enemies. It can get very overwhelming, and that's just obviously that's like a stat to tweak of like tone down the amount that can be placed at once to like make the cooldown time a little bit larger. But that is one specific thing. Like I was playing maps, I'm like, they need to fix this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of balancing stuff that has to be done. Yeah. But you don't know until there's a beta. I mean, like I really enjoy playing Veil. Mm-hmm. But Veil even a headshot is not a one to kill, and her gun is so slow on the reload that
a lot of slow reloads in this game.
By the time you hit a shot, they're behind cover.
Yeah.
And I actually think that the high time to kill is cool.
Yeah, I like it.
I
feel like it's too low for when people are shooting me, because I seem to die really quick, and then other people seem to take forever to die. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
maybe aiming.
The time to kill, I think, is good in a vacuum. Again, I think that the modes are going to be important for making the time to kill feel contextualized. But it is because that TTK is so high that, like, if Vale is taking forever to reload, I'm like, damn, I think this could use some tweaking. But I did want to note, actually, a positive I had about the game that I feel like is quite shrewd is this idea of your cooldowns not actually all being cooldowns. They're not all on timers. Some of them are on, like, mini objectives.
Yeah. Some of them are also on hold the button, which is interesting. Kind of like Cloud's Limit Break in Smash, where you can just hold it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that's a clever idea. I mean, a lot of them do boil down to, like, get a kill and then go pick up your item again. Yeah. But even that, I think is
that's kind of cool.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Those are
it keeps you from spamming. There's not a lot of other than the thing we're talking about, Duchess. There's not a lot of spammable abilities in this. No. Even with something like Star Child has, like, this charge ability that has, like, a 12-second cooldown, so it doesn't feel like you can, like, overwhelmingly spam it. Characters like Roka, whose abilities are very core to the way that you're playing that character at all times. The cooldowns feel pretty balanced for that, in terms of you can use her hover and you can use her ground pound quite a bit. So I do think that a lot of the cooldowns are pretty good. There are just a few standout ones where it's like, okay, this one takes so long that it almost isn't useful for this character. But those are things that are definitely balanceable
for sure
in patches and probably before release. Another thing that I think really stands out is the leaderboards aren't organized in any way. And it's really weird. I mean, it might just be like they're trying to make it so, like, it's not like you're trying to be the best on your team or something, but it's visually kind of awkward because you're used to being organized by, like, who contributed the most in basically every other game that I can think of. And so when you get in there, your name can be anywhere on that list. And so my mind goes, like, just, like, scanning the list to, like, where am I? And then, okay, then I have to look at my KD and things like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's the scoreboard in general is a little bit strange because you can't open it at all times. I mean,
that's really odd.
The respawn system, I think, is strange because, you know, when you get killed, you are brought back to the free gunner select. And then after you pick your free gunner, the bar shrinks to 0 quickly. And then you spectate until you can respawn again.
You spectate for like 3 seconds.
And to me, it's like, why is it like that? And why can I look at the scoreboard when I pick my free gunner?
No, you can for, like, the last 2 seconds of picking your free gunner, but not the first bit. It's very odd.
it's odd just in a way that takes me to the experience where I just want to be able to reliably click to look at the scoreboard. And I also don't want to always be prompted to change my character again. It's the same thing as Smash. Between rounds. Sakurai's like, and pick that same character again. I just don't know why we can't die and then spectate.
And then press a button.
Press a button to go to the free gunner menu of finding it.
Or to the leaderboard. Yeah, definitely. And then the other things that I want to mention are things that
I actually have an issue along these lines.
Okay,
This is the biggest issue I have with the game.
All right,
Everyone
stay. What's the... Quiet down. Listen up.
What is it? He goes pipe up and quiet down.
No piping up.
Because then he goes, flip that, reverse it. The matchmaking in this game is in desperate need of help.
Yes. This specifically for people like to leave matches, and it makes sense that there's no penalty in the beta. What would the penalty be? But the fact that there's no backfilling means that it's a snowball effect.
It's brutal.
Of if you lose one team member, as you were saying earlier, 1v2s are basically unwinnable. 4v5s are winnable, but it's very difficult, and 3v5s are not winnable, and then 2v5s are not winnable. Like, if you lose one player, there's a chance that you're going to lose a second player and you're going to lose a third player, and then because there's no backfilling, you're just screwed.
It's brutal. I don't understand why this is, because if you know, because I'm assuming there's going to be a ranked mode in the game. I mean, every multiplayer game has a ranked mode. If people leave in a ranked mode, you want to call the match early.
There's no surrender as of now.
And refund lost points, whatever you're going to do, however that level up system works, that's fine, whatever. I'm not talking about that. We are only playing unranked modes in the beta. there's no reason, in my opinion, why you shouldn't either be backfilling with human characters, temporary bots until you can find a human character, or I guess just calling a match early if it becomes too unbalanced, because otherwise you just incentivize people to leave. And we've had matches like this, and it's just not fun. Again, it goes back to the fact that super high time to kill must be really organized. If you're not organized, because people can stay alive for so long, if you're at a player disadvantage, you're just screwed. And it really hurts the game. And I think this is the sort of thing that if it's not addressed, it's going to really hurt player counts, and it'll be something that would definitely push me as a player away from the game.
That's definitely true. Yeah, I mean, that created some of the most awkward on either side moments of gameplay, because even if you are the 5-person team versus the team that is quickly losing players, there can be a moment of like, all right, we're just gonna get a bunch of kills, and that's gonna be kind of fun on like a guttural level. But it's also like, oh damn, like the match isn't fair. Like, that's like, I feel bad for them.
Just put somebody in. I mean, every multiplayer game, if it's not a ranked mode and there's a game in progress and it needs a player, someone's just taken out of the matchmaking, put in that game.
Definitely.
So that has to be fixed for day one.
Definitely.
Of everything we're talking about here, that has to be fixed for day one. That's my number one thing flag.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the characters that I was enjoying. And the interesting thing about Concord so far is that I think that I'm enjoying, to a certain extent, like well over half of the roster. I don't have one character that I love yet, but that's okay, because I'm still just learning each one. And 7 hours in versus now like 11 hours in, I'm already feeling the momentum and my understanding of the movesets and a couple of design decisions that go across the board that I think really make this game sing in terms of movement. Double jumps is the role that most characters have.
Very good.
I'm feeling like, especially we were just playing with our friends, and I was playing Kips, which is a character that I like the design of a lot. I don't know if I really like her gun, but I like her ability, so I'm just trying to like work my way through that. But this dodge that she can do, the double jump of like the maps and the characters' movements, I think feel very, very fine-tuned. Of you're sprinting across the map. I think the sprint not having a stamina meter is really nice.
Very smart.
And sprinting and double jumping mean like the ways that how high walls are and the tunnels are placed at certain heights, so you're double jumping and you're like doing a quick clamber. I feel like all of the movement and the dodges and stuff just feel very, very fine-tuned. And the more I'm playing the game, I'm just like really sinking into like, ooh, I need to just roll out of the situation real quick and then reload while I'm doing that. And I was really finding the combination of gunplay ability and base movement options in the role, and the mostly double jumps. The tanks don't have double jumps, but that's okay. I kind of like there's a variance in there.
Totally.
I think that is really, really tight.
I agree. I mean, if a game like Overwatch, I think you really have to like the character you're playing to like the game.
Sure.
Because the base movement of Overwatch is not anything to write home about at all. And that's by intent. But the difference here in Concord is, I think no matter who you're playing, you can enjoy the speed of the movement.
Sure.
And you can enjoy, especially the roll and the double jump. I think you're totally right. It's a very great feeling game, whether you found your character or not. I feel like I have in Roka and Vale. Those are the two that I really gravitated towards. I also do like Teo a lot, but also I kind of feel like that's like playing as Mario. In Mario Kart, like you can't do that.
It's a social faux pas at a certain point.
I do feel like a lot of the primary weapons don't speak to me that much, but I do feel like between Roka and Vale, a lot of the times I'm not in a situation where both of my favorite characters get picked, and then if they do, there's a couple others I like to a lesser extent, but. Yeah, there's a great degree of base satisfaction to how the game feels.
Totally.
And then enough specialization in your character on top of that.
Well, I think the characters are like really different. I was actually very surprised as I was going in, like learning the movement or the gunplay with one character did not translate to another character. And I actually like that, because it allows you to feel like you're more specialized into what you want your gameplay to be like. And so, I mean, Lark plays unlike any other game character I've ever played before, and the way that the reload time of certain characters and the clip size and the gun spray pattern and things, like there's a lot of variance in there. And so I was really enjoying experimenting with really, really strange characters. Like One-Off is a type of character play that I've never experimented with.
He's too fucking powerful.
You think so?
I think he's too powerful.
Well, he has a little too much health.
A lot of health, and that fucking vacuum thing he has. He's grabbing everything in front of him. But he's cool.
You know, it definitely is cool. And mostly I was
Yeah.
talking about like that's just a crazy character design from like a abilities perspective and stuff. But for me, I was really liking Amari. I think that Gatling gun is a lot of fun.
That's a good one.
And I like giving shields because I'm a support. I'm a supportive guy. I like being a little. Hey guys, come over here. Have a little shield. I was really liking specifically Lennox variant 2, which gives you 10 ammo instead of 6, which is that bigger clip. It's just really satisfying. Go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get into Baz. The knives I'm not quite as good at aiming with, so I needed a character with a little bit more spread. It's just a lot of fun. The Uzi is really satisfying to use, and I love her dodge animation. And there's just a lot of things that I'm like learning to love as I play more of the game.
Interestingly, there's not many characters that just feel like they're good if you're not good at the game.
Sure.
And I'll be curious how this sort of plays into things, right? Because if you're playing,
there's no you've got no aim, you've got no brain, you're a dirty Winston main.
I played so much Winston in Overwatch. Because Overwatch was fun. Playing Overwatch was fun. Overwatch was fun when I was playing as Winston because I could just dive onto somebody. I could hit him a little bit. I could jump out. It was a really fun, easy way to play when I wanted to. We don't have that here, really. I don't think there's a good analog to that, but you don't even have like Reinhardt, who just has a thing you can swing instead of having to aim.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder if the game ends up being in its modes, in the necessity for communication, if it ends up just feeling a little bit too sweaty. And
I can actually understand that. Yeah.
And if there's a lack of simple characters and a lack of just party game modes, I do worry that this might sort of push it like. I don't mean this in terms of the fate of the game, but in like a Lawbreakers direction, where the game requires a certain level of skill, and it ends up being kind of niche because it's got a lot of competition, and it just sort of sags into that weight. Sure. So we'll see. But I didn't find the character who was like, if you're just starting out or you're not that good at aiming or whatever, you should pick this one. Sure. I don't think that's really in the game.
Yeah. I mean, maybe one off because he has a really big. That both versions of the vacuum have very big area effect. Maybe Amari, maybe Star Child because this shotgun.
Maybe Star Child.
And I and then there are some that like Roka with the rockets that has a lock on. That's kind of nice. I think there are a few, but certainly not to the extent where there are some more casual feeling characters really. But we've talked a lot about this game in the early access beta, which has gone on for 3 days and just got a bonus extra 4th day added, which is odd but kind of cool. I mean,
I'll play more tomorrow.
It seems like people are enjoying it. So and then the open beta is next weekend, and so fix all the stuff we talked about before that.
Yeah, you're on the clock. You got what, 5 days?
TikTok.
No, and I where I would end this ultimately is that I think that Concord ultimately does have an uphill battle.
Sure.
For launch.
Yeah, sure.
I obviously I think that people who have a more clear grasp of game development know that this game is not changing that drastically.
No, absolutely not.
For August. And so I do think
which is just how things work. You're not mad at the devs for that.
No. And so I think that if key things like matchmaking, and that's a pretty systemic thing to overhaul, but if a couple key targets are identified and hit for the end of August, I think that the version of the game would get, for me, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to play again tomorrow. I'm going to play again in the open beta. I just do worry that the game is going to lack that one thing that gets people in the door. For me, it's simple. It plays fun. It plays great. But we also have a lot of our friends playing right now.
Definitely.
They're a little bit more on the fence. They have Fortnite when they want to go play.
They play a lot of Fortnite. Yes.
They don't. It's gonna be hard to sell them.
So that's Overwatch.
Yeah, and so if we get in a situation where you and I are the only ones from our friend group who buy Concord at launch,
Bo wants to platinum it. So
okay, well, Bo wants to platinum it. We got 3. We got 3 out of 5 then. So I just wonder how this game is gonna hit. Because I just don't feel like necessarily great game feels all it takes. But
no, I definitely agree that. What I think is exciting about this game is that my excitement about the game for my face value, which is where I made my some might say critically acclaimed and incredibly popular video about Concord
by BLB standards.
By BLB standards, yes. video was totally based off of I just really liked the way that the characters looked, and I liked the world design and the things they were saying about the game seemed very interesting to me. But I was in the majority. No, I was not in the majority.
Definitely not in the majority.
No, I was in the minority on that one. But what I think is exciting about this game is the more that people are trying it, the more there was hands-on impressions a couple weeks ago where some more information came out, more developer interviews, more characters have been revealed, more game modes, and now we have the early access beta, and then we have the open beta. The game is climbing its way up in terms of reception. I mean, people are like, wait, hold on. This is really, really fun. And the gameplay is very, very good, and the gunplay feels good, and I'm liking these characters. I'm liking the way in which sentiment on character design and personality and things are turning around as people are realizing, ooh, this character might look a little bit annoying, but they're really fun to play, so they're kind of growing on me. Yeah. This is, I think, a game that is growing on people, and I think that the open beta, once way more people can play, especially on PC next weekend, and then the full release where there's a lot more going on, and for me the cutscenes and the galactic map and things, I think that this game leading up to launch will be good. It just will continue to gain more popularity and more positive buzz, but it's the uphill battle once the game releases to see what really, really happens.
I agree, and the very, very last thing I'll say is that I don't care about the story. It's not going to move the needle for me. Mm-hmm. I watched the one cutscene with you. To me, it didn't spark joy. As how
I watched it about 4 more times afterward, and it was sparking something.
That's fair.
It was sparking some sparks of hope.
I skipped the cutscenes. I'm not going to watch them when the game comes out.
By the way, they shouldn't always play when they watch the game. That's a little weird.
But the reason I'm framing things like this is because I'm skipping this. I don't care about the story. I'm not going to like the galactic map. However, it didn't take longer than my first play session until I could identify characters by name. Definitely. Not just by the role they fill, but by the character name. Yeah. And to me, that's a sign of the fact that they did succeed with the character designs and with the differentiation. And even if you can look at Lennox and from that opening cutscene and be like, yeah, he's very generic, or look at Star Child and be like, yeah, he's literally just doing like the Drax thing. Yeah. It doesn't ultimately matter because I do maintain that this game will live or die based on the gameplay. Yeah. And I was a little bit worried by the way that the team was talking about story being the thing that's going to drive people to the game. I was like, well, that doesn't... I feel that priority is wrong. Yeah. But I think playing the game now, I'm like, well, the gameplay is so good that if they then want to focus on story externally, that's great. Because they've already nailed what I think is most important.
Sure. Yeah. So. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you're all listening. Welcome everyone at Firewalk to Backlog Beta. I know you guys are watching, but we will see you guys in a discussion maybe when the full game comes out.
I won't pre-order the game, but I will remember it comes out on the 22nd, and 23rd. I will 23rd. No, what I'm saying is on the 22nd, I'll remember it comes out, and then I'll preload it on my PlayStation 5. So Firewalk, don't worry about the fact that the beta that your pre-order numbers were low and you let anybody into the beta. Yeah, we're all gonna buy it on the 22nd, like me. Yes, we'll be there for day 1, day 0 actually.
We'll see you guys later. Escape from Loose, Woolly Yoshi Amiibo, green Concord box art. That'd be fucking tight. That'd be pretty tight.
I mean, I hate to say it, but wouldn't it actually look best with the Endless Ocean Luminous box art?
What would?
The Concord box?
No, it's more of a tealy green. I see it as more of a green. I mean, actually, it's pretty close to that Slippy Toad green.
I mean, I wouldn't presume to know as much about the color composition of the Concord box.
There was a Twitter account that like tweets out color palettes.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw you doing that.
It's uncanny.
I mean, to be honest, you'll take any opportunity to tag at Play Concord.
Yeah, at Play Concord. That's my best. At Play Concord is my best friend. Friendship ended with Aiden Buener. At Play Concord is now my best friend.
Friendship ended with real people. Brand that might acknowledge me is now my best friend.
Brands.
We do love brands.
Let's go, brand.
That's pretty good. Nicely done.
5 comedy points?
5 comedy points.
Yes.